state started really looking at graduation rates, and they were like, y'all got to get this graduation rate up because it's just abysmal. It's just awful. And we said, yes. Do you know why? It's because they get X amount of classes without even their certificate or their diploma, and they're already getting snapped up in jobs. So don't look at our graduation rate, look at our job placement rate. I mean, isn't that what we're here for?
Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Paycheck. I'm Paula Christine. So we hear talk in the news all the time about how, or don't even have to hear it in the news, you can talk to just anybody who's graduated from college to find out that they come in with, $20,000 or up to $200,000 in debt from going to college, which to me is a very broken system. It shouldn't cost that much to go to college. So I've asked DrRoz to come in and talk about DebtFreeDegree. That is the name of her book. And so she's going to talk to us about how to get a degree debt-free. So welcome, DrRoz.
Paula Christine, you are such a rock star. I love your podcast. And so the fact that I'm sitting here with you, I am just delighted. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay. So the big question is, how do we go to college without coming out with so much debt?
Love it. So I would answer two ways. One starts with mindset. In a lot of your podcasts, you talk about that. I know that that's something that you're really interested in and something that you focus on a good bit. And one of those things is decide that you're going to go to college debt free. That's the first step. And then the second step is I have a grit blueprint, and we can go through what those specifics are. But, it starts here. I'm going to decide to do it. And then here's a blueprint for how we make that happen.
Okay. So what would be step number one? Besides mindset, first we got mindset. And then, so what was step number two?
Really, it is begin with the end in mind. And so if your end in mind is graduating fully debt free, then following this blueprint. So I use grit. I don't know if you all can hear it in my voice, but I'm from the South. And so
no, we couldn't figure that out.
Right? It's just shocking. So I use the acronym GRIT in all of my programs and for other things as well. So the G is grants and scholarships. There's 46 billion with a B, wow. $46 billion in grants and scholarships out there. R is return on investment. So, what you're putting into this versus what you're going to get out. And that's something really critical that I think a lot of people are not doing. So the I is interconnection.
Let's go back to return on investment again. So,
okay.
Are you talking about when someone wants to be, and I hate to pick on the social workers in the world, but it's not a high paying career, but yet the debt can be so high that you're likely never to pay it off because of your earning potential.
Exactly. That's precisely what I mean. I'm not as familiar with social workers, but I'm very familiar with educators. In many school systems, you get a pay bump for every single certificate, every new degree, everything that every time you get an additional level of education, then you get a little bit of a pay bump. So there are a lot of teachers carrying a tremendous amount of student loan debt so that they can get these pay bumps. But these pay bumps are not necessarily paying back what they borrowed. So for example, if a doctorate says we can guarantee up to a 17% increase. Well, up to 17% increase means most of you are not going to get 17%. And even if you did get 17%, how long would it take you of 17% of your new paycheck to pay that back? Understanding that even if you get the 17%, then you have to pay taxes on that. And then, of course, many of us are like, oh, I got a 17% pay bump and I need a new car, or my child needs braces, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And so that entire 17% is not going to pay that back. And this doctorate program is right at $50,000. So how many years is it going to take you to pay back? So you see 17% and you think, oh, that's a no-brainer. I'll do that. Oh, you need to put some brain power into that. And
just using simple math and just using 20%, because that's an easy number for me. So if you got $50,000 was your salary, and 20% of that would be $10,000 after taxes, you'd likely see maybe $7,500, depending on if you're married and your tax brackets, maybe a little bit more. So it's going to take you, if you took just that money to pay off that degree, it's going to take you probably a good 6 or 7 years, not including the interest that you're going to pay to get that. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. But there are people doing that all the time because of that incentive on the front end, up to 17%, or, there are a lot of folks who go into education because they many times it will say, if you meet these criteria, if you teach in a Title I school or you teach this subject, then we'll forgive your loans. But there are a lot of loopholes that things can happen, and then it makes you ineligible. So there are a lot of people, that I've talked to that have accrued $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. I talked to one person that she had accrued over $100,000.
Wow. Thinking
she would get a job in Title I and it would erase it, and it erased $10,000 of it.
Wow, so she was on the hook for the other 90. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I met a woman one time. She had just graduated from chiropractic school, and her debt was $220,000. And she sat down with me. She goes, "How am I going to pay this off?" And I said, "I don't believe you're ever going to pay it off. There's just, how are you going to pay that off? Plus buy a home, plus do all the things that everybody wants in their life. I just don't see how you're going to do it." And yes, a chiropractor can make good money, but they also can't. I mean, it really depends on how you build your practice and stuff. So, I mean, I looked at that and I thought, oh my God, that would make me not sleep at night, sick to my stomach, because
right.
I don't even remember what the monthly payment on that was, but it was
Right.
quite high. So yeah, great. You want to be a chiropractor or a teacher, but if you can never pay it off and you're going to live your life stressed about money all the time,
right.
does it even seem worth it?
Right. Like where are we going? Literally beyond our paycheck.
Yes.
What does that look like? Literally, I love the name of your podcast, but also that thinking and that process that goes into it. So that's the G and the R. The I is interconnection, which is work smarter, not harder. And then the T is what I call my proven triangle approach.
Okay.
So if you think of a three-legged stool, there's SM, which is student money. There's FM, which are your friends, your family, your folks, the people you're familiar with. And then there's OPM, which is our favorite, and it stands for?
OPM.
Anybody know? Other people's money.
Oh, yeah. I like other people's money.
Other people's money, exactly. So going back to this $46 billion, I'm not aware, Paula Christine, that there are that there's $46 billion out there to help me buy a home or to help me buy a car. But if there's that much money out there just in grants and scholarships, plus all the other tips, tricks, and tools that we talk about for debt-free degree, it really does become, how do you implement this GRIP blueprint to make this happen, versus what the message is: take the loans and figure out how to pay it off later.
Yeah, I interviewed a guy maybe about a year ago who on the same subject. And he was like, you start planning for your education when you're a kid and you start looking at scholarships, and you have to have that plan starting from the beginning. But even if you don't, there's still ways that you can still get a college degree with scholarships and grants. Even if you didn't plan, but it's best if you have children to start thinking about those things as soon as your child has an interest in going to college.
Yeah. One of the things that I always say, and I prefer, when I'm writing debt-free degree, I mush together debt-free, and I actually mush all three together debt-free degree, as if it's one thing. It's not hyphenated. And so in that, I ask parents just to add one word when that baby is born, and you're holding that baby and you're looking at that baby and you're just like dreaming and planning in all the ways that you've got all these amazing visions for this kid. And also, that whatever the universe has given to them in terms of their talents, like, you want to grow those. But many, many, many times from day one, you're going to go to college. And I just ask parents to add this one word: debt-free. You're going to go to college debt-free. You're going to go to college.
That's about mindset. You put it out there in the universe and it happens.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't believe that, but if you do, that's just the law of attraction. If you just say, hey, this is what's coming. I mean, I was just talking to my girlfriend. We went up to a wedding this weekend, and we were talking about, some of the goals and dreams that I've had. And she said, well, you put all that out there. She goes, does it come true? And I said, listen, Carol, I said, we were 1 year ago talking about how I wanted a lake house. It's sitting in a lake house that I had rented. And we picked up the phone and I called the realtor on a house. And of course we didn't look at, but that realtor and I connected. And then he kept sending me homes and things for the next 6 months. And in May of earlier this year, I bought that lake house because I had put it out there that that's what was going to happen. And it happened.
Yeah. And so my parents told me from the very, very, very early age, we do not go into debt for education. So one of the things that I often say, my tagline is, I have 3 degrees, including my PhD, and I only took $1,000 in loans.
Wow.
And it was not without sacrifice. So it's not that a debt-free degree is without sacrifice or without hard work. It's just that every single time I graduated, I was already building personal and generational wealth when I walked across that stage, because I wasn't having to use Beyond the Paycheck or part of my paycheck to pay that back. Right. I was able to take all of that paycheck and spend it the way that I chose to do it. But it does involve sacrifice. We just, it's going to be hard to pay back $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. It's going to be hard to earn a debt-free degree, and you get to pick your hard. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I just read something the other day. It was how everything's a choice. You could either choose this or you could choose that. And it was like, you could choose to be debt free or you could choose to save. You could choose this or you could choose that. What is your choice? It's kind of like you're saying the same thing. It's like, I can choose to go to college debt free. It's not that it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. Or I could choose the other way where I know it's definitely going to be hard when I have all that debt to try to figure out.
Yes. It really, really is. It really, really is. And because it's a choice, then you're making the choice. And what happens many, many, many times, I think, is, and I didn't coin this term, but I use this term, it's human algorithm. So we're around all these people that owe student loan debt. If you're a student in public school education, you've had probably several teachers who are still paying back their loans. Perhaps your parents are still paying it back, or maybe they had to have student loan debt and to get theirs. You hear about it in the news. You hear about it even, like magazine articles, for new graduates will say, here's the best way to, structure your money after graduation. And one of them always includes paying back your loans, as if it is a foregone conclusion. And so it takes effort to say, I'm going to choose this other path, because everybody is saying take the loans and figure out how to pay it off later. So one of the visions is I want to see a debt-free degree club at every middle school and high school in the nation. Yeah. I've established 4, so I have 1 bazillion left to do, but that's where we're heading. That's one thing. The second thing is, I'm so old. I graduated way in the last millennium, and we celebrated what percentage or how many students of my graduating class were going to college. And here in Georgia and in a lot of states, technical degrees like welding, plumbing, cosmetology, those are now at technical colleges in Georgia. So semantics wise, everybody is going to college who's going either for technical all the way up to, however, bachelor's degree. So what I would love to see high school, like honors nights celebrate, and this is how many are going debt free, because we will celebrate somebody that got into, 11, top institutions, and they've amassed over $1 million in scholarships. That is phenomenal. And it's still entirely possible that person graduates with student loan debt, because all $1 million don't follow the student. Some of them are school specific. And, like there's one school that's a very well-known school that you can only have $5,000 in outside scholarships. So, if you want to go there,
why would they do that? Why would they care where the money comes? They're getting the money.
I literally just found this out last week, and I had no idea. And she sent me the website, so I have no idea. I honestly don't know.
I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. Where do they care how you're getting there? Well, you know what I think.
But the way,
one thing that I think parents, we always and I had 5 kids, so we talked about going to college and stuff. And you know, my daughter didn't go to college, but she's in college now, and she's going to college debt free. But she wasn't ready. And I think we try to encourage our kids to go to school, and we all forgot about the trades. And, you know, lots of times, you know, I had one son who went to school who should have never gone to school. He just is not college material, and not everybody is college material. But he ended up going to the trades and getting his welding, and he's doing very, very well. And he's probably making more than some of the teachers, you know, so
1,000%.
You have to think about that too. Is it that you want your kids to be set up in something that they're very happy doing, instead of kind of encouraging them, pushing them into something that, one's going to cause them debt, and they're going to regret the debt. And then they're likely not even going to do that career. I mean, I went to school, I went to private art school, college, and I'm a financial planner. Go figure. You know, so, but I didn't have very much debt and paid that off pretty quickly. But it's hard.
Your son is a perfect example of a debt-free degree, because in many, many states, you can earn that degree tuition free. And so if there were other ways that he was able to pay his way through, or certainly the debt is so much lower that if he did accrue student loan debt, he could pay that off relatively quickly. But you're exactly right. And his earning potential, just with that level of certification, skyrockets versus, you know, an educator. You have to keep, as I said, you have to keep getting more degrees, and it's a different topic for a different day, the things that we put on teachers and our expectations of teachers. However, the welder is not having to put up with however many students in the classroom, plus times how many parents, times, you know, all the forms and all the things. And I worked for an institution that we called it a dual institution. So it offered technical education, and then it offered associate's degrees. And our graduation rate for the welding program was exceptionally low. And this is when schools started really, or states started really looking at graduation rates. And they were like, y'all got to get this graduation rate up because it's just abysmal. It's just awful. And we said, yes. Do you know why? It's because they get X amount of classes without even their certificate or their diploma, and they're already getting snapped up in jobs. So don't look at our graduation rate, look at our job placement rate.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what we're here for? And so what a great field. I had no idea about your son. That's a great story.
Here's what confuses me about the whole college education. You know, we spend 4 years from 9th through 12th taking English, math, gym, science, all of that stuff. Why do we need to take it again in college? Like my daughter, she's going for radiology tech, and she's now taking 2 math classes. Why? You know, teach her what she needs to learn, and math isn't it. It just doesn't make any sense. And so she's, you know, mother of 2, and, you know, working full time and going to college for those 2 courses. And it just seems to me like why not teach her what she really needs to learn about the job, and not more math, more English, more any of that stuff.
Right.
Talk about how much cheaper college would be if you took that component out.
And many of the technical programs do take those out, or take a lot of them out. Many of them, though, have some baselines that they need students to hit to make sure that when they go into the workforce that they can demonstrate that level of acuity. And so I don't know specifically to radiology, but there are programs that are just the courses. Many of those are certificates. And then if you want a diploma in something, or you want a degree in something, then many of them are going to add some of those more academic classes on there. And certainly if you want a bachelor's degree, then that's where you are. However, you know, you can be really strategic and say, okay, I've already done 4 years of English. What is the quickest path to graduation? And there's something called, there are lots of several different tests you can do this, but it's credit by examination. And so you can, right at the end of that class, Obviously make sure that the school that you want to attend accepts these, but then you can go do, say, a CLEP test, which is credit level examination program. It's through College Board, so just like SAT. And so you can go take a CLEP test, and if your school accepts it, then you've already gotten credit for your English, so you don't have to sit through that class.
I told a lot of my clients when I talked to them about their kids' education, let's say that, I'm from Michigan, so a lot of people want to go to U of M. So find out what English class that you can take at Henry Ford Community College that will transfer over to Michigan and pay at least half of what you would pay for that course at U of M. So when you transfer to U of M, you're going to likely transfer over as a, maybe a late sophomore, early junior, but, you don't have to pay those additional costs, and that cuts a lot down. But everybody wants to go to U of M. They want to go right after they just don't want to, the kids don't want to take that step, but it's just, if you can just tell them that this is what you're going to do in the beginning, because it's going to save you a ton of money. We can pay for that out of our pocket because it's so much cheaper. Then you can use your grants and your other things to pay for the costs for U of M. Yeah, I think there's just people need to think things through and talk about it, and nobody ever talks about this. Right.
Because we just have this herd mentality, that human algorithm, that we just do the thing. So I don't know anything about Henry Ford. I don't know anything about, its location, but let's assume that Henry Ford is geographically close to University of Michigan. Is it? Okay, so let's say, taking it a step further from the brilliance that you just said, let's take it a step further and say to our child, is our goal to have the traditional college experience where you have to live in the dorm and you have to do all the things, or is it to graduate debt-free? And if it's to graduate debt-free, is there a way that you can go to Henry Ford College, get your diploma from there, and also attend every football game at University of Michigan? You can go to all the tailgates. You can go to the, there are all these different ways that you can figure out how to put it together. So one of the things I often say is I can map any degree debt-free. And so what happens is people will come and they'll say, I want to go to this hoop-to-do school and I want this niche degree. You map it debt-free. And I'll say, okay, well, then you got to do this, and this. And also it's May and you want to attend there in August. It's a little bit like calling Weight Watchers today and saying, my class reunion, my 30th class reunion, or my class reunion is in 7 days, and I'd like to lose 47 pounds.
You can do that, can't you?
I don't know if Weight Watchers is going to say yes to that. But, if you're looking at, $50,000 a year in May and you want to attend in August, DrRoz might not have a lot of options.
Yeah.
But it's because you haven't made debt-free degree your end in mind. You've made the hoop-de-doo school with a niche degree your end. But if your end in mind is a debt-free degree, you can absolutely do it.
So how does somebody work with you?
I love this question. So number one, I do have a book and it's available on Amazon. And so Debt-Free Degree with DrRoz. I do free webinars every single month. Love for you to sign up. I do laser coaching at the end of those. So folks can sign up for that. In the show notes, they'll have a landing page just for this podcast, and you have an invitation to the free webinars, as well as chapter 1 of the book. So you'll have the PDF, and hopefully you'll love it and learn from it and pass it along to others, and perhaps even go to Amazon and buy the rest of the 5 chapters that you didn't get to read. And then establishing debt-free degree clubs. And I have scholarships for 10 groups, and already I've established 4. So I've got 6 groups who want a fully scholarshiped debt-free degree club curriculum for an entire year. And in exchange for that, you agree to being a part of my book that comes out October of 25, which is the Debt-Free Degree Club Advisor Handbook. So those are all the ways. And they're all, my website is drroz.love. And that's a different conversation for a different day. But Paula Christine and I have already talked about love and choosing love and heart sightings. And so
you're amazing. You are so fun.
You're amazing. I'm fangirling over here, sister. I mean, I'm so honored to be with you.
Oh my gosh. And I'm like, really?
Yes, really. Yes. Yes.
That's so cool. So cool. Yeah, I love doing this podcast because I get to talk to such interesting people. And I've learned so much from just people all over the country, because I think what happens is we get stuck in our little group and we only learn what our little group knows. But when you start to branch out and talk to people and all different topics all over the country, you learn so much. Like I had no idea you existed until you reached out to me, and that was really cool because I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope that everybody goes on there and checks out your website, and especially those people who have children.
I hope so.
Well, even then, it could be somebody who's just, hit their mid 40s and decided they don't like where they're at and they want to change their life and go back to school, pick up a different trade or different career. Doesn't have to be someone with kids. Right.
And it's breaking through that message. It's breaking through that take the loans and figure out how to pay it off later, and that message is so pervasive. Just like you were saying, with the student that says, I want to go to U of M and I want to start there my freshman year and I want to do all the things. It's just really pervasive. And colleges have done a phenomenal job at marketing, because I don't know all the statistics and I think there are lots of different ones out there. But if you look at the proposed jobs moving forward, how many of those even require a bachelor's degree versus the percentage of high school students who are going straight into a bachelor's degree, there's a huge mismatch there too. So,
and it surprises me too that sometimes when you'll go, I can't get promoted because I don't have a bachelor's degree. And I'd be like, and they'll be like, well, what do you have to get your degree in? It could just be a basic, what's the basic degree you get? Is that fine arts or, I can't think what it is.
Most of them are like interdisciplinary studies. You can do like a general studies degree.
But why do you have to have, if you're capable of doing the job?
Right.
Why do you have to have a degree that really means nothing for you to be able to do your job?
Exactly. And the converse is true. People will say, oh, this generation is so lazy. Nobody wants to work. Ma'am, your job application says bachelor's degree required, master's degree preferred, and salary is $39,000. So is it that this generation is lazy, or is it that you are not offering a return on their investment of all those years of school? And so you're right, Paula Christine, we've got to come together on some of that.
And you know what? And I know we're getting off subject, but we're well over my normal podcast, but don't you think it would be cool to offer more on the job learning than to sit in a classroom?
Yes. Absolutely.
You can like, I just remember some of the things that I learned in college, and I'm like, had nothing at all to do when I first got my job in advertising, because I was a graphic design major, nothing to do with, I learned so much more just doing the job than I ever did in college.
Yes. Yeah. Even down to, like you were saying, you're in Michigan, I'm in Atlanta. As y'all can hear, I graduated in the last millennium. So, I'm X amount of decades old. And this little Georgia peach does not want to do without her air conditioning. And I'm real fond of a shower every day. And, like there are all these people that, it's hard to get an electrician. It's hard to get an AC, HVAC tech. It's hard to get all those OJT jobs. Yes, absolutely. Go do that. And that's actually even one of the things I talk about in the book is that's a path to a debt-free degree. Let's say that, ultimately you want, a degree in finance, but you don't have any money saved for that and you don't want to go into debt. Well, in Georgia, you can get a technical degree for free. So why not go be HVAC instead of fast food? And how much per hour can you earn? Because we all have 168 hours a week, and go do that for, 10 years and sock that money away and then go, do your degree or whatever.
Or take a class, one class a semester until you get to where, especially when you got to get through those English and math, go to the local community college and take a class. And a lot of classes today are online. So It's much easier to go to college than it was before. Yeah, there's so many options out there. But I think it all goes down to mindset again. It's like you have to one, in your head, believe that you can have what you want. And then number two, figure out a plan to get there, and to talk to people like myself or to you, or, whatever it is that you want. There's resources out there, and people just like, I want to do this. And then they freeze like, oh, I can't do it because I don't know how to do it. Well, start looking.
And if you look at that and you freeze and you think, I don't know what to do. And so you're just stymied, go to my website, sign up for my webinar, and come and ask the questions, because it literally is as little, like I've had students that just literally will text me, because my phone number is in the book. They'll text me and they'll say, I'm stuck. And that will start a conversation. And then let's have a conversation. So 2 words, I'm stuck. Let's go. Let's figure out.
I say that all the time. And then I find a resource to help me. I'm working with a business coach right now because I got a little stuck in my business. So, but I reach out. And I think one thing that us as Americans do is we don't ask for help.
Yes.
And we need to start asking for help more. There's so many resources out there, and so many people like yourself and like me who want to help you.
Yes.
Just ask.
Yes. Exactly.
Just ask.
Exactly.
Well, it has been a pleasure. It has been a super pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed it. So please reach out to her resources if you want to go to college and you want to go debt free. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. So if anybody wants to get a hold of me, you can reach me at Paula at paulachristine.com.